If you're an established personal stylist listening to this episode, can you remember when it was mind-blowing that this was a career and that you could actually get paid to style people? If your styling business reality is not matching that excitement in your dream anymore, then I have something for you. You do not have to stay stuck and second-guessing yourself in your business for another season. I'm about to open the doors to my exclusive group program, the Income Accelerator, and it is designed for established personal stylists like you who want to achieve consistent income months, create unique and high-value styling services that help them stand out, attract dream clients who cannot wait to work with you, master the sales skills that will turn objections and let me wait till I lose 5 pounds into enthusiastic yeses. There are only 8 spots in this program, so head to the show notes, join the waitlist, and get ready to transform your styling business because I'm going to show you the exact business strategy that will get you feeling that excitement and that enthusiasm again for your business once and for all.
Welcome to the Six Figure Personal Stylist Podcast, the ultimate no BS business podcast for ambitious personal stylists ready to build a 6-figure and beyond personal styling business. You won't hear the typical snooze fest business advice that most personal stylists get told all of the time. Nope, instead I'll be sharing business building strategies that will help you create a killer personal brand, a cult following of loyal personal styling clients, and make a ton of cash while creating lasting style transformations for your clients. I'm Nicole Achi, your host and a former personal stylist of 14 years who built a lucrative styling business in 3 major cities, but only after spending years trying to crack the 6-figure styling business code without burning out. And now I'm here to tell you how to do exactly the same. Let's get into it.
What if I told you that everything that you think is a marketing problem is on the other side of being fixed with just another little tactic, another little strategy, getting those hooks down, another hashtag, engaging for 10 minutes before you do a post, engaging in 10 minutes after, all of that. What if I told you that that was really distracting you from having the business that you ultimately want and dream of and making the impact that you really want as a stylist? I'm going to tell you some stuff today that is kind of like what I consider to be deprogramming, that I am truly talking to my former self. I was obsessed with marketing, and I'm not going to lie to you. When I am having a bad week or something's going on in my personal life, I will go to my marketing. I will beat myself up. I will, have a whole meltdown about how my marketing isn't going great or whatever, even when that's not the evidence that's in front of me. And I want to remind you that we are sold every single day that marketing is the issue, that marketing is the problem. And I am not going to tell you that marketing isn't important. It's so important. And I'm not going to tell you that marketing tactics aren't useful. But I am going to tell you that you will never get where you want to go with those tactics and strategies if you do not have certain things in place. And it is just easier to sell people a PDF of hooks or a Canva template of, Instagram stories that people claim are going to make them $1 million. But that isn't going to work if there isn't an existing relationship with the people on the other side of the screen. Think about how you buy. Think about the brands that you buy from. Do you buy from them because their hook is amazing? Or do you buy from them because you know that some aspect of your identity is being spoken to when they share, when they create content, when they give you tips, when you save their stuff? When you look up to somebody that you want to work with and you think, I really want to work with them, even if it's a stretch, is it something in a tactic that they're doing? Is it because they engaged for 10 minutes before on Instagram? Probably not. It's because an emotional connection exists. And the power of emotional connection in marketing is the thing that we are not taught enough. It's a thing that we are not. It's hard to teach. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's something I've been studying for the past couple of years. And I will explain to you when I think marketing tactics are useful, but we tend to jump the gun and go towards things like growth and in our social media or, trying to build our email list and trying to do those things. But we don't really have any mastery in talking to the people that are already on the email list or on our social media accounts. And so the purpose of this conversation is for me to help you as an established stylist see what you need to be looking at in order to actually get somewhere with marketing tactics. And I will give you some examples from my own experience that kind of illustrate this. But one of the things of being obsessed with these numbers and these tactics and these things does is it completely robs you of your creativity and excitement. It robs you of the relationship. It robs you of the opportunity to actually make a difference. Because I actually have noticed that when I look at the success of this business, I get more DMs and emails on a weekly basis from people telling me how much this podcast has helped them than have hired me in the history of the business to date. And if those people never hire me, it's okay. It's fine. Because I truly believe that when we are doing marketing from an ethical place, when we are creating messaging for people that we truly care about, we are getting so much more out of it than just money. We are creating messages that help us feel more self-expressed, that make us better, that make us more creative if we're doing our marketing from a place of not just being blind robots and following, the things everybody tells us. Sure, there's a place for, having a strategy that you follow until you get the hang of things. But I don't tell my clients exactly what to post. I tell them the types of content that build relationships to post. And then we work on the messaging together based on their particular vibe, how they speak, who they're talking to, what kind of things they really enjoy doing, what their styling process looks like. And I can't sell that in an easy template. I could pretend I could and sell you a spreadsheet and make a lot of money. And I am asked weekly for templates and things like that because people see that I get my clients results. And so then they want to know what the swipe file is. But it's not the swipe file that gets my client's result. It's who they become in doing the thing. It's who they become in showing up to their marketing over and over, even when no one's responding, even when they're not being clapped for, and even when they're not getting sales. Because the thing that is easy to sell is the tactic, and the thing that it's hard to sell and why most people never succeed at business that start a business is that it is the doing of the tactic that creates who you are being in the world and should ultimately be changing who you're being in the world that leads to the result. It's not that every single time I show up on Instagram, I have people knocking down my door to buy. It's that I build a relationship and I don't sell every 2 seconds. I sell you guys ideas. I sell you guys a point of view, but I don't sell my products or my services, just services, every 2 seconds. Because that's not how real relationships work. But real relationships are constant back and forth of persuasion, right? It's a dance. And no one's going to tell you that wants you to buy an Instagram story set, right? That's going to make you $1 billion while they are on the beach at some Riviera in France making all this money and collecting sales. I've been around these people in masterminds, guys. Trust me when I tell you, there's a whole other world of things they're not sharing with you. The team, they're paying a ton of money in order to get that to work. So if you're here feeling insecure about your marketing, or you tend to go down spirals of beating yourself up, as I have and sometimes still do, I want to assure you that tactics aside, you have everything you need to be successful and to gain more clients if you do the things we're going to talk about. They're not marketing related. They will influence your marketing. They will help your marketing get better, but they are not marketing. And it's the holes in these parts of our business that actually hold us back from creating marketing that's easy, that's seamless, that's natural, and that really is an extension of our connection with ourselves and why we became stylists in the first place. That is so missed when we get into the tactics and the strategies and what's going wrong and how come no one's buying. Because when we're in that particular place, we're not giving the energy off of being someone in command and control of things enough for someone else to trust us with their image and the vulnerability that comes with it. So before we kind of dive into the things I want to kind of point out could be the problem before we even have a marketing problem, I want to share something with you to give you some hope. The styling consultancy is like a year and a half. And when I record this, and I have worked with a lot of different coaches. And one of the business coaches that I worked with on and off, Erica Reitman, who's really responsible for a lot of the aesthetic you've seen of the styling consultancy, is a marketing genius, in my opinion. And I worked with her for a long time. She's a business coach, but she talks a lot about marketing. And quite frankly, she's a genius marketer. So I hired her because she's a good marketer. And she has a real confidence that I really have wanted to cultivate in myself. And that's usually why I hire people, if I'm being honest. Because I kind of know what to do in a business at this point. But there's often like an energy exchange that I think is the biggest value that I get from coaches. And we reconvened about 2 weeks ago, and she did like an audit of my presence online and my messaging. And, she's just really good at how you say things, how you get attention. And so I know I have my messaging right, but I do think it could have been sharpened. So I said to her, can you do an audit for me and we'll chat? So we did that. And she came back to me with some feedback about where I stand in the space. So where I stand in the personal styling sort of consulting and coaching world. And she gave me a lot of really helpful feedback about messaging that I should kind of like turn up, and messaging that maybe could be like made a little bit stronger. And so it was all great constructive feedback. And then we got to this part and she said to me, can I give you like a really strong piece of feedback? And I was like, yeah, of course. And she said, you have the worst hooks on the internet. They are so shitty. I don't know how you got as far, basically is what she said. And I laughed because she's right. I probably do. And 2 seconds before she gave me that feedback, we were talking about how I had people, DMing me, asking to work with me, how I had to slow down because the pace of the requests were getting too much, how I just finished a group program and every single person in it actually finished the modules. And all of them were like, I've never done that before. How I was running roundtable calls that were 40 and 50 people at some points on certain topics at a time. Like, who wants to get on a Zoom call for no reason? And the people were showing up for these calls was like pretty amazing to even me. And we were talking about the success of the business, and then she brought in the hooks. And so I'm telling you that only because I had all of that success with crappy hooks. Like, okay, so now I have a tactic that probably would be useful for me to get better at, and I'm working on it. And I can already see posting like just 3 or 4 posts with better hooks. It has made a difference. It has warmed up people faster. It has gotten my stuff in front of, I would say, like 100, maybe more people. I don't have a huge following, but I have a very engaged following. And so her feedback, that was the perfect time for me to get a tactical feedback that was useful, right? Because now I have my messaging down. I know what people connect with. I know how to talk to stylists about the things that keep them up at night. So now adding in the tactic will just sharpen the message that's already there. What would be problematic is if I was going to her and saying, I don't have any clients, I don't know how to make money, I can't get to consistent income. And then I thought that the answer was hooks. That's what so many of us do. And I also want to point out that that kind of feedback, that I have literally the shittiest hooks on the internet from someone that I respect and trust and feel is someone I look up to in the marketing space, would have been something that completely decimated me a few years ago. But today, it's something that makes me think, okay, I should put that on the list of things to get better at, and I keep it moving. And so if you're someone who would have deleted your whole Instagram account like old me would have, and probably had a crying fit on the couch to my husband and been like, I should just give up, I want to just assure you that that is a temporary state of self-identity, that you think that every little thing that isn't good is a marker of some sort that means something about you. Or that's what I meant. That's what I used to think about myself anyways. And if that's you, I want you to know that everything I'm going to share with you today is going to help you look at the right places instead of being paralyzed like I used to be by criticism. In fact, I used to be so afraid of criticism that I never got outside help in my business. And if that is you, I want to encourage you to really challenge yourself about that, because we all have blind spots. Like, it would be completely unethical of me to sit here and tell you that I'm going to, be a business consultant and coach to you, potentially, but I'm not getting that kind of feedback myself because we are human beings that can only do so much in a day. And we need someone else to look over what we're doing and help us get to the next level of ourselves, because that is really all that business is. So when we look at our marketing from the position of like, there's the business, there's the strength of the business, and the strength of the business is what allows us to market in a way that creates real momentum and that is actually not just about the sale, but is about the message and the selling of a perspective. That's really how I think about my work. I am trying to sell to stylists that you are a businesswoman, that this is possible for you. It's not only possible, it should be your bare minimum to make $100,000 a year. That should be joke money to you. You should think $100,000, I'm sorry, I don't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day or whatever the amount is. But that's a little extreme, but you get my point. I want you to start to have standards that isn't, ooh, it would be amazing to one day have $100,000 business, or to have a $200,000 business, or to have a $500,000 business. I want you to be like, yeah, of course that's going to happen. And I got to fix some things in my business, or I have to develop some things in my business. And then I'll get some tactics and some strategies. I'll build my muscle and I'll get to that point. Like, obviously that's how this is going to go. So that is what we're going to kind of set the stage for you today. Before you have problems in your marketing, you're going to have a problem in one of the things. There's more, but these are the ones I see most commonly in your business, and not be aware of it and maybe think that the marketing problem will help it. Because of course, we are not making money in our business. So we think the problem is we need more clients. But sometimes the issue is that the business isn't really set up in a way that we can authentically market to more clients and feel like we can stand behind what we're doing. And that is not something we talk about enough in the sort of business coaching space and consulting space. And so I want to make that explicitly clear, that before you have a marketing problem, you have a whole series of other problems that lead to the marketing problem, which is just a symptom. It's like your clients saying, the reason I don't have the style I want is because I am not good at shopping, or because I just wasn't born with a style gene, or because my mom thought that I was not the stylish kid as growing up, or because my mother didn't show me how to do this. I don't know why, but that piece of client verbiage is stuck in my head forever. I'm sure I've said it on multiple episodes, but I always would just when I had a client say that, I would be like, what? You're a grown up. We need to start taking responsibility for ourselves. Nobody knows how to do anything. But also it was such a symptom of the view that we have of being a woman, that this was some kind of innate thing we should have. We should just know how to do this. And it broke my heart. And so in the same way, I don't want you misappropriating or misjudging what the issue is and thinking that another Instagram course is going to help you. So the first one of the things I see a lot is that people are lacking systems. And before, I don't know why I started this with number one, because I cannot think of a less sexy thing to tell you. But here we are, this many minutes into this podcast, and I'm going to tell you the most unsexy thing. So what it looks like when you have a lack of systems that can often be mistaken for a marketing problem is that you lack clarity in true depth of clarity. You may know your niche, you may know the kind of clients you like working with, whatever, but you lack the clarity of the true before and after situation of your most ideal client. So this is something I talk about in the Income Accelerator as these snapshot moments that we need to be aware of. And they are moments that really kind of visualize, or help us visualize, help our potential client visualize the moments in their life where it was incredibly clear to them, either before they worked with us, that they didn't have the style they want, and it was impacting their life in very tangible, specific ways. It was taking them so long to get dressed in the morning that they were almost always late to bring their kids to school. And when they got into work, they really didn't even want to raise their hand, because they just felt like, even though they knew their thoughts were good and their beliefs were good and the things they were sharing at work were good, they didn't look the part. So they shrunk. And then they were mad at themselves. This is true of people's style, but we don't talk about it like this. Even when we are saying we're transformational stylists, we are not being honest, that we are not asking the questions of our clients that would help us understand these kind of moments, so that our marketing can be good. And so that we can actually be creating services that are better aligned to them. And what happens after in their life, after they work with us? What is going on that they can now do or feel or experience? And we put this on our like client exit form often, or like our, questionnaire, but it's really in conversation that these types of things get revealed. Because when people are filling that kind of stuff up, they're just going through the motions. They're busy. It's one last thing to check off. This is why when we claim that we're transformational stylists, we need to have real examples that we can show and actual points in our process that we can say, like, right here is where, there's an evaluation that makes it a transformational experience. Because that awareness from the client and also from us to us, that what is happening once they get all their outfits and they're excited or whatever is truly a transformation, because they now had to say with their own words what was happening before. But we tend to rush through things when we're one-on-one with clients. And I get it. I did it for a long time. But if you're not aware of these little snapshot moments, and I have a whole process for how you get them from your clients in a way that's just super elegant and easy in your systems, when you have that, it completely changes the game for your marketing, because now you don't really need the tactics. You have the actual words of your clients that are going to make people feel like you're in their head. And it's also going to help you feel more confident about your abilities as a stylist, because now you have in very tangible detail what makes your service so impressive and remarkable in the lives of your clients. So that's actually a systems problem, because usually when we're with clients, we're working so fast, we don't even have the time to slow down and kind of be curious about these things. And that's usually because we don't have the time in our business. We don't have the time set up in our one-to-one consults. We don't have systems in place to capture these things and to have these conversations. And then the next one is that you, generally speaking, don't have the information you need to easily go and create the kind of content you want from the forms and the sort of intake from your sales calls, from your one-to-one client, from your group programs. You don't have the kind of forms and the kind of questions in those forms, even if you have them, that goes beyond like sizes and stuff like that. I used to just have this like really plain intake form, and I thought I was like doing so great. And then someone had taught me like how your systems can really recreate your relationship with a client and set the tone. And I am telling you, it changed my life. And I would say that for how unsexy systems are and how much stylists I know, myself included, like really don't want to deal with them, when my clients see the systems I create and I have created over the years from working with other creative entrepreneurs, none of them are from the styling industry, and they generate and put them into their business, they're like, what is this? I have never seen anything like this. I just had a client send me a DM voice note telling me that she changed all of her sales process based on what she learned in the Income Accelerator. And not only did she sign like an ideal client, a client that she almost wasn't sure she like was in the kind of age range she would ever have signed, but that the systems in place helped her stay on track and helped her nurture the conversation with the client, the potential client, so that she felt so at peace regardless of what happened, whether it was a yes or a no in the sale. She felt so in charge and like such a boss that she was like, this is a huge win. If I can go into every sales call feeling like this, like I already won the game. And she got so much content out of those conversations, whether or not that person said yes or no. Your sales conversations should be, whether someone said yes or no to your service, should be where you're getting most of your content from. So if you don't have sales skills, which is our next conversation we're going to have here, then you may be lacking a lot of clarity in your marketing. And one of the things we can do is when we're not having enough sales, we can blame it's the volume. It's the volume of we don't have enough leads, we don't have enough people coming in. But closing sales is really an art form, and your marketing should be helping with that close for sure. But even if someone comes to you relatively cold, I had another client just sign someone for $3,500 who was not following her, had never followed her, and they literally got a recommendation to work with her from someone on Facebook. Wasn't even like a close connection. Got on sales calls with her that day, signed. The person probably did like scroll through her website or scroll through Instagram, but it was literally like less than 24-hour turnaround because of the sales conversations we were having. because she practiced and knew exactly what to say. So while I think marketing absolutely should warm people up, I want to remind you that if you're having problems in consistency or you're struggling with your marketing or it's not converting, you're basically going to a sales call cold. And that's totally fine because lots of people run ads and close sales. That's fine. But it's easier to close sales if your marketing does the job. And you're able to do what I talked about in the last kind of point was your systems are actually capturing the information. So you don't have to remember all this all the time because we're so busy and we're, trying to remember all the client sizes and what ruffles they don't like on their shirt and who likes this type of neckline and who doesn't and all that. You need to have systems in place to do that for you because your brain can only do so much. Same is true of your sales skills. Your sales skills need to become something that are just so incredibly ingrained in you that closing sales with or without your marketing actually warming people up is not a problem. That means you now have power in every room you step into, in every single place where you meet someone and they're interested in what you're doing. When you're at your kid's school and it comes up that you're a stylist and they're like, oh man, I could use one of those, right? When you have sales skills that feel like they're just part of you, they're not even gross, they're not quote unquote salesy, I don't even know what that means, but you're not manipulating people. We're asking people more questions to get to what they really want. And then we're making an offer. And when you have that, the whole world changes and your marketing gets better because you don't need your marketing in the same way. And your sales skills and the conversation you have as a result of those sales skills end up informing your marketing really, really quickly. Okay, the next thing that can very much look like a marketing problem, but it is not, is having a deep mastery of your services. Now, I think one of the ways that we can kind of get ourselves mixed up on this is that I am not saying that you are not good at what you do, that you don't get results for your clients. 1000%. I have not worked with a stylist yet that doesn't know that they're a good stylist, that doesn't get their clients results, right? That's not the issue. The issue is that we often, because it's so instinctual to us what we do, don't stop after we kind of get mastery of being a stylist, after we get over this first kind of phase of learning to be a stylist, learning to do a closet edit, learning to shop for a client, those types of things. We often don't go back to the beginning and look at why we have the offers we have and how they are fitting in with the audience that we most want to serve. And so when you lack a deeper mastery and understanding of your service, you're not lacking an understanding of styling or how to get the result. You're lacking an understanding of how the way you've packaged those skills get the people that you want to work with an end goal. And so we tend to say things like, when you work with me in this package, you'll get 9 fully styled looks, or you'll have a season of new clothes, or I will shop for you and edit your closet and you'll walk in and feel like it's great. That's not what sells a service. What sells a service is when you tap into somebody's identity, when you tap into why that person wants that thing. And it's easy to say confidence because sure, top line level, confidence is the result of having style that is fully your own, but it's more like confidence so that you can. That what comes after the can in that sentence is where you show your deeper mastery and understanding of your services and your target market. So if you can't pick out aspects and pieces of your service to address the pain points that your client experiences on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis as a result of them not having the clothes they want, then you probably don't have a deep enough mastery of how your service is packaged. You likely, like all of us, myself included, went and were like, oh, this seems to be the services that most stylists have. And then you didn't stop and think about how you can refine them, how you can make them better. This is why I say often when I see people going back to change their services because they're, thinking, well, what I have isn't exciting people, that's actually not the problem. It's because you haven't dug into your service enough. You haven't refined it. You haven't made it better. You haven't added interesting elements to it that are going to surprise and delight your ideal client. Because if you did that, you would have no lack of things to talk about in your marketing. But we blame our marketing when really what's missing is a deeper understanding of how our package is working, how it gets results. It's not that it doesn't get results, it's that we're not able to say the specific ways that it gets results in a way that captures the emotion of our ideal client. Because what people do is they buy from an emotional point and then they justify that purchase with facts. So when you give them, well, my service, gives you 19 fully styled outfits, or my closet edit will have you feeling, like you walked into a boutique in the morning. That's not the thing that grabs their heart. That's more of the logical brain. And we have to tap into the emotional brain before we tap into the logical brain. And I talk a lot about this in Income Accelerator, because we are taught that, for example, like educational content will show how and I have struggled with this over the years. I really lean towards educational content because it's easy for me. It's just something that works in my own brain. Like I can come up with it quickly. I feel like it's valuable. But it's not about what I feel like. It's what the other person needs to feel like to buy so that they can get the result, so that they can feel confident in their life, in the ways that matter to them, in the circumstances that are relevant to them. And so when we don't know how to sort of look at our service and zoom out and say like, okay, I know I have this because this is what quote unquote stylists have in their service menu. Like this is what it looks like to be a stylist. When we get to the next level as a stylist and as a business owner, you then become someone. It doesn't matter how long you've been styling. It matters how deep your business acumen is. Then you become someone who says, okay, I have mastery over how to be a stylist. Now let me package these skills in a way that hits people's hearts so that they can opt in faster. And so your marketing will express that. Your marketing will be the vehicle through which you talk about that for sure. But if you don't have an understanding of the service and how and why you're packaging it the way you are, then you're kind of like stuck with like you have marketing tactics, but nothing to put into those tactics to get your client to a place emotionally where they feel connected to you and buy. So here's an example. You work with an ideal client who is a personal brand, right? You work with women who are entrepreneurs who are personal brands. And say part of your process is color analysis, right? I had a lot of this in my own. I did virtual color analysis through a different company because I didn't have color analysis certification. And I could just say like, oh, when you get color analysis with this service, right? And I think it's so valuable. And I think it's obvious that people that are personal brands need that. But if I was going to talk about this from a place of service mastery, from truly understanding how this package is developed, the styling package is developed for people that are personal brands, I would say something like, one of the things that I hear from my clients often is that they have to travel for events because they're, a personal brand, they're an entrepreneur, whatever they are, they're a speaker. And when you have to like get on the flight to go somewhere and you feel like, oh, I'll just like throw on yoga pants or whatever, and you don't really feel like wearing makeup. Well, the truth is that like, you never know who you're going to sit next to on a plane. And so like, I get that you want to be comfortable, but one of the reasons why I developed my signature styling service XYZ for my clients is because when we do color analysis, sure, it helps them look great on the stage. Sure, it helps them look great all these places. But what really it's great for is that no matter where you go, whether it's the grocery store or you're getting on a plane, you're going to feel incredible even if you're not wearing that much makeup, because the colors that you're wearing closest to your face are going to light you up. You're going to look like somebody that people want to get to talk to and know, which means that you're always going to be ready for the opportunities that will build your business. So color analysis is really this opportunity for you to always be ready as a personal brand to make more, to be that person that just seems like the go-to person in your industry because you're totally lit up by your colors. That was like a little bit, I just made that up right now in this conversation, but that's what this looks like. I could just say, oh, and my service has color analysis. But when I go deeper, and I have to do this work first, right? This is the thinking you have to do. This is the hard work that most people will never do, which is why they get stuck in their business, why I got stuck for years. I didn't even know to do this kind of thinking. This is what makes the difference. And also, this is what helps my clients when we go over their services and we're refining them in Income Accelerator. This is what helps them understand why it's not necessary often to have certain pieces of a styling service because it actually derails the client. I had clients for years that really did not need closet edits because I was dealing with a group of people for whom their socioeconomic status was such that having a decluttered life, having an organizer, having these things was a part of their identity. It wasn't a thing that they needed. They didn't need me to like get rid of stuff. They were already there in their journey. They needed me to refine their style. So knowing my client and knowing where they were in their style journey or how close they were to hiring me in terms of like where they were in their belief system, that made an enormous difference in how I created my packages. So I got rid of closet edits because quite frankly, they were annoyed by them. That's how well I knew my ideal client. Because 90% of my ideal clients were at a point where they had already edited out their closet, and that was when they knew it was time to hire me. And I knew that because of all of the ways my systems helped me look into what was going on with them. So that was a talking point I used often. And when I used that talking point about my service, it signaled to them that they were for me. Now, where there's plenty of people that asked me if we could do a closet edit. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. But that was the minority. And I didn't sell to the minority. I sold to the majority of the people that I wanted because they were the people on their buyer journey. They were closer to buying with me because they already had that awareness. And so this is why you have to have an understanding of your sales skills, of where your client is psychologically, all the things I talked about before. And you have to understand how that applies to the service. Now, when you do your marketing, it's a different level. We are not this, sure, you can have a hook tactic. You can have a, is it a carousel or is it not? But that is just what the sort of wrapping of the actual content is. That's not the main event. The main event is me understanding how to talk about the thing. And then the last reason where I think, and this is like so true for everybody at every stage, and I still am dealing with this on a daily basis, is that one of the reasons why we mistake a marketing problem for a deeper problem is because we truly are really needing to look at our self-concept. So the number one thing that I get asked, interestingly, about marketing when I ask, what do you want to learn more about in marketing, or what do you want to learn more about in your business when I do Q&As, it's like consistency. And I'm like, well, how do I actually teach people consistency? Like, you just have to decide that you're a consistent person, is what I've been thinking to myself. And this has really been something that I've thought a lot about, is like, I give a lot of people tactics, strategies, and how come some of my clients do really well and take it and run? And how come some people, they have a lot of stories of they're stuck, it's too hard, blah, blah, blah. And I can have 3 calls in a day and have 2 clients that I'm giving them the exact same thing and they're killing it. And then one that just isn't kind of willing to even get out of their own resistance to try the thing, right? And the number one reason I have realized is because of their self-concept. And one of the reasons why I think that one-to-one coaching and consulting in this space is kind of something that I've thought more and more about doing less of is because I actually think that being in a group is the thing that helps people's self-concept go the fastest. Because when someone's in a one-to-one relationship in a business coaching situation, they're expecting you, which is fine, to give them all the tactics and the tools. And so you do that, you give it to them. I do that all the time. And then they go and do it and it's not working. And they're thinking, and this happens to all of us. We take a course, we take a class, we go to some expert and we want to learn the thing. And then when we do it, we feel like it's not working. Now, sometimes we're lying to ourselves and we're not actually doing it the way the person told us to. We're like cutting corners and telling ourselves that's fine. But 9 times out of 10, and I heard Tony Robbins talking about this, the reason why is because what is missed in 90% of the time when people give us a strategy, a course or whatever, is that we don't tell them who they need to be, the thoughts they need to think in order to get there. And so when I had a styling course, an online styling course for people that were personal brands, one of the things I changed in it that made an enormous difference was the first module was about how to shift your identity, how to look at this information So it wasn't just, oh, you're going to learn how to make outfits. I wanted them to look at when they were making outfits, what were the thoughts that were coming up? Because that was the issue. It wasn't the outfits. It wasn't the clothes. It wasn't the access to clothes. We all know that. It's never the budget. You can go buy secondhand. There's a million ways you can do this in terms of getting the style you want. But the thing that will hold all of our clients up as a stylist is their thoughts about it. And it is absolutely the same thing in our businesses as stylists. So I have clients who really struggle to do the deeper connection work of the emotions like in their marketing. And they think, what's going on? Or they do it once or twice and talk about things beyond like, here's my outfit, here's some places you should shop. They start to go a little bit deeper. They don't get the same type of reinforcement that they get from the links and the outfits and showing their outfit every day where everybody wants to know where they got their pants from. And that's fine once in a while, but that doesn't make them a buyer. That makes them a consumer of your content. And so when you are working on your self-concept, you have to be someone in your marketing, in every aspect of your business, including one-on-one client consults, who believes they can sit with the discomfort of ambiguity. Because 9 times out of 10, people are not rejecting you, they just don't care. And so if you can code silence as at worst ambiguity, like you're not even registering to them, or at best a silent lurker, which is what 90% of the people that have hired me in both of my careers are. I have people watching me every time I put out content and I don't get a response. You know what I tell myself? Someone's watching this that's going to be ready to work with me or to get the transformation or to, have me style them at some point when I was a stylist. And the more I believe that, the more it is true. Why? Because when I look at my self-concept from that view, not like, oh, I did a bad job, but like, okay, this is just one more opportunity for someone who wants to work with me to get to know me better, for me to make them feel safe, for me to make them feel understood, whatever it is. When I look at it from that point of view with my own self-concept, now my marketing issues go away. Now my consistency isn't a problem. Now consistency is I'm just a consistent marketer. Like that's just what I do. Why? Because I know I don't have a business if I don't market. If I have very inconsistent income and I have some clients sometimes and no clients other times, yeah, that's a financial issue, but it's also going to take a huge toll on your self-concept. And this is why I think it's easy to think, oh, it's a marketing issue about, my consistency because I haven't found the right formula, the right tactic, the right framework. But that's not true. Because if you were someone who believed about yourself that you were a consistent person, even when no one was clapping for you or me or anyone, because I used to be this person, then it wouldn't even be in your frame of reference to think that consistency was a marketing problem. You probably, like me, have issues in consistency in many areas of your life. Like for me, it's like I really struggle with eating in a consistent way healthily. I really struggle with exercise in a consistent way. So what do? I put in the systems I need to do that. I need accountability. I have a Pilates teacher. I need a nutritionist. That's someone I'm going to hire. I need coaches so that I actually sell things and don't screw around in my business and get on Canva. I put in the things I need. And as I do that, I become someone whose self-concept is such that works out, that sells all the time, that eats healthy. But when we looked for the tactic instead of looking for the self-concept first, we will constantly grab at the wrong thing and then wonder why it doesn't work for us. So I hope that this is really, really helpful. I think all of us fall into this. And I think every new level that you get to in your business, these things can come up again. So it's just really good to remember. And also to just remind yourself that like when you're looking at it from this perspective, like maybe I need to look at something deeper in my business plan. Maybe I need to look at something deeper in how I sell. Maybe I need to look at my self-concept. Maybe I need to create deeper and better relationships with the clients that I have. It takes a lot of the anxiety off of the marketing because it's so public. It's like how we're publicly showing up in our business and we can just relax and have more fun. Because if I am creating crappy hooks for a year and a half and my business is still at 6 figures, you're really not going to break your business. The only way you're going to break your business is if you don't show up, if you don't do the foundational work. And the thing is, once you do it, it's not like you have to do it all the time. You do it, and then when you're ready for a new growth phase, you go back and you have the system to look at it again. And it's not a big deal, okay? Nothing has gone wrong. It's just like our clients shouldn't expect that they like have the same clothes forever. We shouldn't have the same business forever. right? Our business should be a reflection of our growth. And that can only happen if we're looking at the right things in our business and reaching for the right things in terms of tactics when we have our business handled. I will talk to you next episode.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It turns out that social proof is actually pretty important. So if you could help me out, I'd so appreciate it. If you just had a quick free moment and could leave me a rating or review on the podcast app, that would be killer. And even better, if you wanted to share this episode on Instagram and tag me, that would totally make my day. And it would bring so much more awareness to the podcast and would help other stylists just like you who are looking to build lucrative styling business, because the better each of us does, the better all of us do. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll chat with you next time.